Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This past year, I've been on a reading grind. Now, I've been reading pretty thoroughly and consistently pretty much the whole year. Actually, that is a lie. I've been reading maybe half of the year. I started off strong in January and February, then lost it in March, and then didn't start until end of June, beginning of July. And then I started just like going and I was reading all my summer books and all that stuff. Now I can't stop reading. I barely watch TV, I barely go on my phone. All I do in every spare time that I have is read. And it's not for educational purposes, it's for escapism. It's to entertain the life that I want that I don't have. Recently, it was my birthday, and I could not think of gifts that I wanted, so the only gifts that I asked for were books and vinyls. I have so many books that I want to read and that I wanted. I have a big stack of books that I want to get through that's a part of my TBR. I've been seeing people on TikTok do 10 books by the end of the year challenge. I don't even know what I would want to read. There's so many that I want to read, but I'm also doing a book club with my best friend. Now, I've mentioned this in the past before. It's a long distance best friendship. Our whole friendship has been long distance. Her and I have tried to do challenges together and it just has not stuck. So we're gonna try and start it up again. I read pretty fast. She is in PA school, so she doesn't really have time to read. So it's gonna be hard to match up what books we want to read together at the same time, but the book that we want to read together at the same time is The Fourth Wing. The new book just came out, the sequel, The Iron Flame. People are already ruining it on TikTok. I guess there's like a misprint issue, so a lot of people are talking about that, but people are also talking about the contents that are in the book. I just have to keep scrolling through because I don't know anything about it. I know it's maybe dragon riding or dragon training or something of that sort. I know there's dragons. That's all I know. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. Basically, I got a bunch of books for my birthday and I want to show you all the books that I got. Some that I will be reading soon, some that I'm going to have to push out later. So we're just going to jump right into it because there are a bunch of books that I need to get through. Now, a lot, if not all of these books, I don't know the plot line for. I have no idea what goes on in it. So I'm very excited to read and learn more about it. Like, I kind of know the concept of it, but I don't know the details. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've read the trilogy before this, the Inheritance Game trilogy. Oh my god, this trilogy is phenomenal. Like, if you are into riddles, puzzles, mystery, love triangle, romance, all of that stuff, if you are into reading that stuff, I highly recommend this series. I don't know if The Brothers Hawthorne is connected closely to the plot line of the Inheritance Game trilogy, so we'll just have to see. I'm pretty sure it's not because the Inheritance Game is based on Avery's life, which is a girl that is placed into this old man's will after he died. She has no idea who the guy is, and he left her all his money, basically. And there's a lot more twists and riddles and stuff that are a part of it that make the series so complex, but this book is about two brothers that are a part of this series, and I think Avery really isn't maybe a main character in it. I'm not really sure, but I'm excited for this. I haven't heard that much about it, so I'm kind of scared that it wasn't good, but we'll have to see how that goes. I did a video on talking about the first book of the Inheritance Game, how I didn't know if I wanted to continue on with the series, but I'm so glad that I did because the second book is my all-time favorite. I 5-starred the second book. It's so good. Another series that I will be reading is the Magnolia Parks series. I ordered the second Magnolia Parks book, but it's not coming in until maybe tomorrow or a few days from now. I'm not really sure, but I will have the full set soon. But I want to read this series. The Magnolia Parks series is this Blair and Chuck Gossip Girl, very toxic London couple. They're socialites and they're terrible for one another. Everyone knows it. They even know it, but they just can't let go of one another. I hear it's very infuriating, so we'll see how that goes when I read it, because I might toss the book a few times. I know that's the Magnolia Parks storyline. Daisy Hates, I don't really know what her storyline is. She's the sister of London's most notorious gang lord. So we'll see. I don't know how this is interconnected, but we'll see. It took me a while to find the old covers to this series. When I did my fall TBR video of books that I wanted to read, obviously in the fall, I was pushing Magnolia Parks this month in November, and I got the new cover from Barnes & Noble because that was the only thing that they had, but I hated it because it was this bright red cover with people's legs on it, and it makes me more driven to read a book when I like the cover. Especially when it just looks cohesive like this. It just looks aesthetically pleasing, so it makes me want to read the book more. But this is a series that I will be reading very soon. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. Alright, so these next two books that I want to talk about, I want to do a separate video on because I want to include them into my dark romance video that I want to do. But basically, the first one is Emily McIntyre, Hooked. I've been seeing this everywhere. People are talking about it on Book Talk. My best friend has this. She loves it. This is a Disney retelling of Peter Pan. James, he has this enemy, Peter Michaels. Peter has a daughter named Wendy. She shows up in James's bar, and he's like, this is my end to destroy my enemy. But he starts to develop feelings for Wendy, and things go out of hand, and then they have this romance, and it sounds like an age gap romance because if his enemy is Peter and Peter has a 20-year-old daughter, he's probably at least 40, right? I don't really know how that goes. I heard it's really good, very steamy. I'm excited to read this. I also want to read Scarred. But then the next one is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I didn't ask for this book, but I am curious to read it. I'm nervous. This is one of the books that she wants us to read together, and I'm glad I'm going to have somebody to talk to about this because I heard people talking about it briefly a little bit here and there on TikTok. There was a steamy scene, and she calls the man uncle. I really don't want to read about incest, but I was reading the back and it's giving like Clueless storyline where technically it's not a blood relative, but it's her father's stepbrother. But they're really teetering the line there. Basically, there's this girl, her parents die, and her father's stepbrother takes her in. He has 2 sons, and they live in the middle of nowhere. And I hate these last few lines on the back of this book because it says, and she also realizes that lines blur and rules become easy to break when no one else is watching. One of them has her, the other wants her, but he's going to keep her. Yeah. So I might throw up while reading this book. Again, I know they're not blood related, but that's disturbing. That is disturbing. I gotta move on. The next book that I got for my birthday is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. First of all, this cover is amazing. I cannot get this book out of my head just because of the cover. Blue and yellow go so well together. Okay, so I was reading the back of this. Olive and Ethan are nemesis. They don't like each other. They end up being at the same wedding. The entire wedding party, they get sick, except for Olive and Ethan. And the people who are getting married, they don't want their honeymoon to go to waste. So what do? They give it to Olive and Ethan. And so they go to Maui on this very luxurious honeymoon event. They have to fake date. Just right here, it says witty and downright hilarious. I'm in. I'm a sucker for wit, for banter. Good enemies to lovers. Come on, I'm so excited. The next book that I've been wanting to read for a while is Icebreakers by Hannah Grace. This book blew up on TikTok. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. I don't really remember the timeline of this. I just remember people talk about it. People are still talking about this book. It is like an enemies to lovers also, I believe, if you can't tell. I do like a good enemies to lovers. There's this figure skater, her name's Anastasia. There's this hockey player named Nate. They go to the same college, something mishaps, and they have to share an ice rink at the same time. Now, I guess Anastasia's partner, something happens to them, and Nate might have to step in and help Anastasia, and then things happen. That's what I've gotten from the storyline from reading the back of this book. I'm obsessed with this college, University of California, Maple Hills. I almost went there. Not gonna lie, I got rejected, but I almost went there. Another book is Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. I haven't read much of Tessa Bailey. I think the only book that I read from hers is It Happened One Summer. She gets unemployed. Her and her fiance break up. She needs to access her trust fund money, but in order to do that, she needs to get married. I don't know her connection to August, but He helps her. They have to live together for a little bit and then divorce, but in them living together and getting married, feelings arise and there's attraction that they can't deny and all of this stuff. So basically it's like a fake dating, maybe forced proximity type trope. I really did like It Happened One Summer. The main girl was kind of annoying with the dialogue, but I did like the guy, so I'm giving another one of her books a try. And then one that I've been wanting to read for a while is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This book is the second book in kind of like a series, but it can be a standalone. The first book is called When in Rome, and it's about this baker where a actress or singer, pop star, whatever, some entertainment lady comes into town. Sparks are flying. They are falling in love, all of this stuff. I don't know if it's like the same timeline, like when that's going down, this is happening also, but this one I wanted to read more because I liked the storyline better. The girl in this book, she's the sister of the baker in the first book. She's a florist. And then the guy in this book is the bodyguard to the entertainment lady in the first book. I'm a sucker for a tattooed bodyguard, man. So obviously this one stood out to me more, but if I like this book, then I'll probably give When in Rome a chance. And then another book that I want to read from hers is The Cheat Sheet. I heard that one was pretty good too, so we'll see. Another type of romance style that I do enjoy is Emily Henry. The only book that I don't have from her is Book Lovers, and I saw on Spotify recently that they released audiobooks. You can get 2,000 or 20,000 amount of books when you have premium Spotify. I'm obsessed with Spotify. I love listening to music all the time, but when I'm driving, and I drive a lot, I'm in the car, I don't want to listen to music all the time. I want to still read, but I can't read while driving. I mean, I could. That would cause a lot of problems. I decided to download Book Lovers. I listened to the first few chapters of Book Lovers. I came home and I got a present from my best friend, and it happened to be the physical copy of Book Lovers. I'm on chapter 9 right now, and I actually really like it so far. This was one of the books that I downloaded because I didn't know if I wanted to buy a physical copy, but I'm glad I was able to listen to it free and now have the physical copy. It's about this very strong, independent boss woman named Nora. She's a literary agent, and she meets this book editor, and he's very brooding. He's very to the point, calculated man. They are basically the same person, but they have crazy banter with one another. It's so highly unprofessional the way they talk to one another, but it's a book and it works. I'm obsessed with this. I'm eating it up. I love the way that they communicate with one another. He hates on this town that one of her clients writes about, and then a few years later, after they have that conversation about him hating on the town, she runs into him in the town that he was hating on. They are in this small town romance setting. I don't want to really say forced proximity, but they do be running into each other a lot. I like it so far. And then the next book that I received for my birthday is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This book I kept hearing great things about, and on TikTok, I'm gonna be a little annoying at this moment. I'm a Scorpio. Every now and then, people will be like, oh, Aries is Kat from 10 Things I Like About You. Gemini is Catherine from The Vampire Diaries. Scorpio is Blair from Gossip Girl and stuff like that. Somebody was doing it about books, and I kept hearing that the guy from this book was like Scorpio, and the girl from this book was like Scorpio, and then Scorpios would love this book. And then I had one person say, oh yeah, I've read that book. You would really like that book. So I'm like, okay, I feel like the universe is telling me that I should read this book. We'll just see how it goes. I'm pretty sure it's a good enemies to lovers. I'm pretty sure it's like a fantasy book also, and I'm excited to read it. I'll probably read it pretty soon. Okay, another enemies to lovers. Like I said, if you didn't know, I love that trope. I'm a sucker for it. Is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is another book that people are raving about on TikTok. The author of this book keeps popping up on my TikTok, and I think it's her first book, so I wanted to support her, especially because great things are being said about this book. It's another enemies to lovers, another fantasy. It's about this society of elites. These elites have powers. This girl who's an ordinary, who has no powers, saves one of the princes that is a part of the elites, and she's thrown into these trials with elites who have powers, but she has no powers. And I guess if they find that out, they're gonna kill her because they don't like ordinaries. I don't really know how that works. The next book I want to talk about is Archer's Voice by Maya Sheridan. It's about Archer. He can't speak. It's a romance with a girl that's new to town and she's just like enamored with him. I don't really know how that goes. I'm pretty sure they both have their own trauma that they're trying to work through. He doesn't talk to her, but she falls in love with him. So I'm trying to figure out how that works. I mean, honestly, if that could work out pretty well if a man doesn't talk. You know, I don't know. Anyways, I hear it's really sad and really good, so I'm very excited to read this book. And then the last books that I will be talking about is a series, and that is the Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Like I said, I love her books. I love The Inheritance Game. I was obsessed with that series, so I wanted to read this series because I heard this is just as equally as good. And you know, it's not really realistic, but it's fine because I love her. It's about this girl named Cassie, and she is really good with reading people, and I guess the FBI knows that. She's like 17 years old, 18 years old, something like that. She's recruited into this FBI program for teens with special skills to solve cold cases, and while they're having this program, a serial killer comes and is messing with the teens, I believe, and they're trying to figure out who the serial killer is. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. I'm excited to read this. There was one point in my life that I wanted to be in the FBI and that I wanted to work for the FBI and be like a psychologist. I love reading series. Like, I do love a good standalone book, but I am a sucker for a series. I love the long game. I love it, especially with these type of books. Like, I just finished reading the Twisted series. I love that series. It's phenomenal. I love that it starts little and it gets thicker and thicker by each book, and that's what it looks like this does too. And I think it just evolves and progresses the storyline so well when books do that. So I'm excited to read this series. I love a good mystery, puzzle, all of that. Well, I need a water break. It was a lot of books. It was. I'm not gonna lie. But those are all the books that I got for my birthday, and I'm so excited to read them. I don't even know where to begin. I have no room anymore in my room to have a bookshelf. What are we doing? We're building shelves on the wall to stack my books. So I'm gonna be putting up shelves in my room tomorrow and trying to figure out how to do that. And then I'll have more room for my books because I literally have no more room. If we can't build on the floor, we go higher. It's like San Francisco, it's like New York. We go up, not out. Like I said, these are all the books that I got for my birthday. I'm very excited to read literally all of them, maybe except for Credence. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if you liked the plot, the characters, if you were in love with the characters. I want to know everything except what happens in the book. I'll be making more book videos, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye!